Indeed. Let's talk now to lawyer and political commentator Linda Clark, who's with me in the Wellington studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Jacinda Ardern becoming the next Prime Minister, does she really represent generational change here?
Absolutely. This is a fundamental generational change. And I heard, I think it was Jenny Curtin on your program earlier this morning, emphasising this point. She's absolutely right. This is a real shift. This is the first Prime Minister New Zealand's had who has only known MMP. So she didn't grow up under first past the post. She doesn't think like a first past the poster. And I think we've seen that in the negotiations and in the kind of deal that she's struck and in the way that she has conducted herself in those negotiations.
Third female Prime Minister for New Zealand, the youngest Prime Minister for 160 years. The first question she gets last night in her press conference after realising that Winston Peters has chosen the Labour Party was essentially asking her whether she was up to it. What did you make of that?
I thought it was appalling. I thought it was a question from an older male journalist who simply needs to kind of update or move on. It was absolutely shocking, but it's not the first time. I mean, another older male broadcaster yesterday went on air and referred to her as a chickie babe. I mean, this is not something that would ever be said of Bill English or Andrew Little or John Key or any male politician. And it is something that is where, everyone is going to have to readjust their setting, I think, because there was a lot of unconscious bias, which men and women applied to Jacinda Ardern. When she became leader of the Labour Party, it was unexpected. A lot of people thought, where on earth had she come from? Nobody, the narrative, if you like, was that she didn't have the skills. My goodness me, that was 12 or 13 weeks ago.
It's extraordinary, isn't it, when you put it in that kind of context and the kind of pressure now that she's going to be under probably will have nothing on the pressure that she has already been under.
I'm not sure. I think that, and Helen Clark would be the expert on this, but you don't. It's not. This is not a New Zealand phenomena. Julia Gillard has written a book about it. I mean, female leaders come under specific kind of pressures, and I think what we're going to see with someone of Jacinda's age is we're going to have a whole lot of questions about whether she's going to have a baby while she's in office. If she manages to put on a bit of weight, people are going to be saying, is it a baby bump? If she loses weight, people will be saying she's under a lot of stress. She can't hack the pace. Her looks are going to be constantly scrutinised. What she wears is going to be constantly scrutinised. And she's got to ride above all of that. I mean, she certainly will. She just doesn't let that stuff worry her.
Because this is not the kind of stuff that John Key or Bill English or indeed Andrew Little particularly ever had to deal with.
Well, John Key put weight on while he was Prime Minister and no one suggested for a moment that he was having a baby. Now, I mean, we can joke about that, but the point is a serious one. There is a scrutiny that female leaders in particular have to put up with that male leaders simply don't. And I think if you just go back to her achievement, I sat next to a very senior Labour person on a plane 2 days before Andrew Little stood aside and Jacinda Ardern became the leader. And he said to me, we are going to be third in this election. I mean, they were dog tucker. So she has taken that party from near oblivion to being in a partnership. And that's what she calls it, interestingly, a partnership with Winston Peters and the Greens. It's an extraordinary achievement.
And across the spectrum, do you think she gets the credit for that achievement that would be afforded to a male leader?
I think she certainly gets the credit. I mean, that's what Jacinda mania is all about. Everyone knows this is about her. It was the strength of her set of skills. But I think people see that as there's a great deal of emphasis on her empathetic skills, and she certainly has got that. People really feel a connection with her. But she has strategic skills too, and that's what we heard from Winston Peters yesterday, and that's what we've heard from James Shaw this morning. She was able to get the confidence of both of those very different leaders of other parties and pull them together, and they're both confident. I mean, I'm quite confident this will last the term. I don't see this as being an unstable arrangement because I think, as I say, she thinks like an MMP politician and it's going to be quite different.
Just one final aspect here. You have worked with her in the past in various capacities. You've obviously seen her a fair amount over the years. What are the qualities, what are the particular changes that you think she will bring? But also, I suppose, did you look at her and think, yes, she has the potential to do this?
She's not aggressive and she's not combative, and she doesn't see politics as a combat sport. And I think that's one thing in a way that she has in common with John Key. I think that's why people like her. She does listen, she takes advice, but principally she takes her own advice. And that's probably where she makes what made her stand out from Andrew Little and Phil Goff and David Shearer is that she's very confident in her own instincts. This will be her government. She will be the leader of it. She won't need a whole lot of people telling her what to do. But she is going to have a different style, and you heard that even this morning. I mean, this morning you asked her repeatedly for the questions that she doesn't want to answer. She's not combative in that situation. She simply says, look, I'm not going to tell you about it. She kind of says it with a smile on her face. We're going to get a lot of that. She's going to hold her own line, and she's going to be much firmer than some might imagine. But I think that Annette King said to me a wee while ago, she is a once-in-a-generation politician, and this is her opportunity to prove that.
Thank you very much. Linda Clark, political commentator and lawyer. 25 minutes past 8.
Housing is going to be a big issue for the incoming government, especially affordable housing in Auckland. Todd Nile, our Auckland correspondent, is with me. Good morning. We can expect or look out for on that issue.